Lesson 3-5, Simplifying Fractions. In this lesson, we're not going to just look at simplifying fractions. We're also going to look at what makes fractions equivalent. So, fractions are equivalent if they name the same amount. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have a pizza. It's cut up into 8 pieces, and you have 4 out of the 8. You had half of it, right? So 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8 because it names the same amount. Okay, so there are 2 ways to write equivalent fractions. One of them is to use multiplication, the other is to use division. And simply all you do is either multiply or divide by the same number with both the numerator and the denominator. So if you had 1/2, you could give an equivalent fraction by multiplying the top and the bottom, let's say by 2. So if you did that, you would have 2/4. That would be an equivalent fraction. You can multiply top and bottom by 10 and get an equivalent fraction. It doesn't matter what number you use to multiply, as long as you do the same thing to the numerator as you do to the denominator. And you can do the same thing with division. If you had 6/8 and you wanted to write an equivalent fraction, you could divide the top and the bottom both by 2, and you would get 3/4. Because you've done the same thing to both the numerator and the denominator, you've divided by the same common factor. So those are ways that you can write equivalent fractions. Now, the whole idea of this lesson is simplifying them, so let's talk about that. When we put a fraction in simplest forms, or sometimes it's called lowest terms, then what we're doing is putting it so that they have the numerator and the denominator have no more common factors. So, and sometimes too, this is called reducing your fraction. You simply divide the numerator and the denominator by any common factor, and you keep doing that until they have no more common factors. Here's a little note. If you find their greatest common factor, meaning the factor they have in common that is the biggest of the numerator and the denominator, then you'll only have to do it in one step. Okay? Happy practicing.